If you're a new therapist and you're stepping into the really challenging and I'd say sacred space of trauma work, this is for you. We're going to walk through that journey from feeling like you have to rescue your clients to instead becoming the safe space where they can actually begin to heal themselves. So here's our roadmap. We're going to cover 6 key stages. First, we'll tackle the therapist's initial challenge, just how tough this work is. Then, we'll peek inside the mechanics of trauma itself. After that, we confront the big one, the allure of the savior role. Then, we get practical, building your own mobile sanctuary. And finally, we'll talk about a huge shift in perspective and why taking care of yourself is absolutely critical. Okay, let's dive in. You know, the first time you sit across from a client and you hear the raw details of their trauma, that emotional weight can feel just staggering. It's a rite of passage for every therapist, and believe me, it's completely normal to feel overwhelmed. The trick is to understand what's happening, not just for your client, but for you too. To really be helpful, we first have to get our heads around how trauma literally reorganizes a person's inner world. See, it's not just a bad memory they can't get over. It's more like a shattering of the self. And the key mechanism that makes this happen is dissociation. Okay, so stick with me here. There's a foundational concept from pioneers like Pierre and Carl Jung, and it's this French term, Abaissement du Niveau Mental. Don't let the name scare you. Just picture the mind's normal energy level, its usual hum of activity suddenly plummeting. This drop creates a kind of low-pressure zone, a mental vacuum, which is the perfect condition for the mind to split apart as a way to protect itself. So think of it like a chain reaction. First, there's the shock. That causes the mental level to drop. When that happens, the ego, our conscious command center, loses its grip. This is the moment when parts of the psyche, these supercharged clusters of feeling and memory called complexes, can literally break off and start living a life of their own. This isn't just pushing a memory down, it's an actual fracture in the personality. And check this out, this isn't just a theory. It has a neurological basis. This image helps explain what Jung called a horizontal split. Think of it like this. Rossi's work shows how the left brain, the logical, verbal part, can get disconnected from the right brain, the part that holds the holistic, emotional, sensory experience. This is why a traumatized person can often talk about what happened with no emotion at all, because the part of their brain that knows the facts is cut off from the part that feels the horror. Okay, so that's what's happening in our client. Now we have to turn the camera around and look at how this fragmentation in them triggers a really powerful reaction in us. This is where the work gets dicey, not just for them, but for us. And it's something we have to be brutally honest about. Seriously, take a second and ask yourself this. When you hear a story of just profound pain and injustice, what does every fiber of your being just scream at you to do? If you're like most of us who get into this field, that impulse is to jump in, to rescue, to fix it. And there's a name for this feeling. The analyst Reynos Papadopoulos calls it the overwhelmingly heroic feeling. It's like an archetypal savior gets activated inside us. And we have to be so careful here, because as noble as it feels, this hero is often just a mask for our own unhealed parts, our own shadow. It feels right, but it can be so wrong. Because acting out this savior complex is a minefield. It leads to this professional ego inflation where we think we know best. It makes us blur boundaries, giving gifts, staying late, which, as the sources warn, can lead to therapeutic relationships that end disastrously. And maybe worst of all, it robs the client of the chance to discover their own incredible resilience. And for us, it's a fast track to burnout. So, if we can't be the savior, what are we supposed to be? Well, the answer is a sanctuary. Our job is to build a strong, safe container, a therapeutic vessel that can hold all of that pain without us breaking and without the client breaking. The ancient Greeks had a beautiful word for this, Temenos. It means a sacred, protected piece of ground. In our work, the Temenos isn't just the 4 walls of your office. It's the psychological space you build with clear, consistent, and rock-solid boundaries. This container is the very thing that makes the terrifying work of healing even possible. But how do you build this, especially if you're not in a quiet private practice? You build a mobile sanctuary. You use professional props, the way you dress, the notebook you use, to signal that this is the therapeutic space. You are absolutely rigid about time limits, and you have to constantly practice the inner discipline of resisting that powerful urge to give a gift or become a friend no matter how much you might want to. And this brings us to the biggest, most important mindset shift in this whole explainer. Our goal is not to jump in and fix the trauma. Our goal is to be profoundly present, to witness and to allow the client's own natural healing intelligence to unfold in its own time. Just look at the difference here. The old model, exposure and fixing, is all about curing a pathology. The therapist is the expert who actively processes things. But the model we're talking about, thawing and witnessing, is totally different. The goal is to allow a natural thawing. The client's state isn't a disorder, it's frozenness, and it's seen as a healthy response. And our role? We're not the fixer, we're the witness who contains. I really want you to let this sink in. When your client seems stuck or numb or disassociated, that is not a failure of therapy. That frozenness is the very survival skill that kept their soul intact during something unbearable. It's a brilliant strategy. Our job isn't to shatter it, but to create a space that's so safe they can finally begin to let it go. So what does this witnessing actually do? It's anything but passive. By being completely present, we create what you could call a sacred bridge, connecting the client's conscious mind with those split-off, traumatized parts. And when that connection happens, something amazing, Jung called the transcendent function, can emerge. It's the psyche's own built-in wisdom, its own ability to heal and create something new, something we could never engineer or fix on our own. Okay, now we need to circle all the way back to you, because this work, it's hazardous. When you act as the container for this much pain, you're exposing yourself to what some analysts call archetypal radiation, the intense raw psychic energy that surrounds trauma. It is incredibly powerful, and you absolutely must protect yourself. Vicarious trauma isn't just a buzzword. You can think of it as a psychic infection. The powerful forces at play in trauma, the victim, the perpetrator, good, evil, these things can seep into your own psyche if your own container, your sanctuary, isn't strong. Protecting yourself isn't selfish. It's your #1 ethical responsibility. So what does this mean? It means your own self-care has to be a non-negotiable part of your professional life. It means doing your own therapy to understand your own shadows and triggers. It means being rigorous about your boundaries. It means having supervision and colleagues you can lean on. And for heaven's sakes, it means having a full, joyful life outside of your work. Just remember, you cannot guide others out of the dark if your own light has gone out. In the end, this quote from Jung really says it all. The therapist's whole journey is about this. To truly help our clients connect with their capital S self, their core, resilient being, we have to accept a defeat of our own ego, the part of us that so desperately wants to be the hero, the savior. When our ego can take a backseat, their true self finally has the room it needs to heal. And that really leaves us with this final question for you to take with you. As you step into this incredible, important work, what role are you going to choose? Will you be the hero who tries to fix? Or will you do the harder, more profound work of becoming the sanctuary where healing can finally and truly begin to unfold?